everyone, this is Dan French. You know me from my YouTube channel, Las Vegas Experience. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. It helps me out tremendously. I'm trying to put out good content, good information, not just in Las Vegas, but in general. Also, if you haven't looked at my last video, please go do so here. That's going to be the phase one we have going on with Las Vegas and how this might pertain to you if you're a business owner. So that's some good information. It's really restrictions and guidelines on opening up and some of the things that you might need to consider if you're a business opening up during phase one. So as many states are dealing with the same issues right now we're looking at unemployment claims here in Nevada having some stagnation. We have a lot of people out there filing for unemployment, but the claims are not going through smoothly. They had 440,000 people file for unemployment here in the state of Nevada. And right now we have initial claims problems right now because there's not enough people to help with these unemployment offices. Right now, unemployment offices are hiring people to help with all of these claims coming in. So let's move on to some other news. Last Friday, the House of Representatives passed to get a second stimulus check to go out. Now they're waiting on the Senate to pass this, and then we'll see a second check coming out. Now, what's ironic is some people haven't even received the first check. Now, this second check, they're introducing or proposing that illegal immigrants now will also get a check this time. And so if you didn't have a social the first time, you didn't get a check. They're saying now that if you don't have a social, you'll still get a check. So a lot of people that didn't have socials or were illegal, also people that didn't file their tax returns, did not get the first stimulus check. This time they're proposing that you might get one even if you're an illegal immigrant. So what's ironic about that is a lot of people haven't even received their first check. You know, you look at a lot of people getting two checks too in error, or some people not getting enough or the amount that they were guaranteed to get through these checks. Now, some people were getting them where they had people deceased and they were just getting them direct deposited into the account in error. Man, that's great. You know, you're getting two checks. Unfortunately, some people still don't even have their first check. So it's really interesting to see what's going on and how all this is going to unfold. You know, you look at and some of the data that's come out, a lot of people are spending this money wisely. They're spending it on, you know, rent or mortgage or necessities, food, things like that will help them just sustain where they're at this time. You know, you go back to the 1930s, if you compare that, the 1930s to now, back in the 1930s, they were spending it on cars, electronic stuff that they really probably didn't need. So it's good to see that Americans are using this money wisely. I also think there's a reason for that, though. It's because the cost of living is so much higher with inflation and everything else going on. Also, you know, you want to look and see what people are spending their money on. Although some casinos did open up, it's very few, and a lot of casinos are still waiting to phase two. Now, some businesses did open up too, but it's also businesses that don't harbor a lot of people. You know, it's very small capacity of people that come into the business. So most businesses that harbor or have a high capacity of people were pushed out to phase two. Casinos, bars, nightclubs, spas, churches, they're also on the group. Gyms, you know, gyms harbor a lot of people. All of those businesses are pushed to phase two. Now, what's ironic about that is the government and also the White House came out and stated that gyms would be okay to open up in phase one. We know how everybody wants to take care of their body and take care of their health, but Governor Steve Sisolak said this does harbor a lot of people. He doesn't think that gyms are in place right now to really sustain what needs to be done with the restrictions and regulations. So it's interesting to see what happens with gyms. Here's some information that came out on gyms.
Opening gyms, if they adhere to strict physical distancing and sanitation protocols. What does that mean for Planet Fitness? And what does it mean in terms of your potential timeline in different states to start to be able to bring those operations back online?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, government mandated closure last about March, pretty much nationwide, and the president released 3 phases, and we are phase 1, luckily. So right now we're just waiting for the green light, state by state, to figure out when we are able to reopen. So we're taking this time now to really work with our franchisees on the right protocols for cleanliness, for staffing, and also member etiquette about cleaning before and after use of the equipment.
going back into a facility like a Planet Fitness where, I mean, if people are on bikes or on stair climbers, they're breathing hard. So you wonder about the impact of potential particles in the air, that they're touching free weights. Do they have to be wiped down between each person's use? What are the protocols that you're going to have in place that people are going to be wondering about?
Yeah, great question. So the cardiovascular is probably the first one, because that one there, as we see, is really very close together. I've heard from some of the CEOs overseas, Asia in particular was already reopened. What they did is sort of unplug every other piece of cardio to help that social distancing there. So
in another news article that came out I wanted to look at was Susie Ormond. She's a financial planner, and she's telling everybody out there, including the middle class, even if you are working or not working and you have extra money, to go ahead and invest that money into the stock market. Now, there is opportunity right now in the stock market. You know, the stock market wasn't doing well, and you can buy really good stocks for a cheaper price right now, and you might be able to make money in the long term, but you also don't want to take money from other things to pay into the stock market to make a profit. You know, I think a lot of people have a misconception that, hey, I'm going to get rich quick type thing. And I think she's implying that if you have extra money every single month, just go ahead and throw it in there. You know, it's no different than gambling to me. It's like going down to the casinos and gambling. You know, there's a chance that you might lose that money.
You just keep talking logically to people, and you get them to understand that fortunes are going to be made out of this time. And I believe that with every ounce of conviction I have, Ryan, that this is probably the best buying opportunity out there, bar none. Obviously, for those people who are stock pickers and everything, it's really fabulous right now. But when you're everyday people and all you have is your 401k, and you do have time on your side, then emotionally you've got to just fight it. Because I can tell you, everybody's writing me now, and they're all saying, I'm coming out of my retirement plan, and I am going to pay off the mortgage on my home. And I keep trying to tell them, please, what are you talking about? If you come out, you're going to lock in a 30% loss, then you're going to come out of the plan, and you're going to have to pay ordinary income taxes on it. Oh, good, now you just created another 20 or 30% loss. So just stay calm.
So what's ironic is she came out with a separate article that said, hold on to your cash, and cash is king and cash is gold. You need to treat it like that. So I don't know if I would be taking the cash like she's saying to hold on to, which I agree, and then putting it into the stock market. So Governor Steve Sisolak came out and also stated that we are in a financial state of emergency for fiscal year, and we are losing a lot of revenue because closures of businesses. We've lost about $741 million to $911 million fiscal year. And if you look at that, it's a really big loss. A lot of it's due to gaming and taxes. That's a big revenue here for the state of Nevada. Now, what they're trying to do is go into the rainy day fund, and this is to help stabilize the operations of government. And he's using that money to start allocating dollars to help stabilize Nevada as a whole.
Rainy Day Fund will now be used to help Nevada recover from the financial strain caused by the pandemic. The Nevada Interim Finance Committee voted to move the state's entire Rainy Day Fund, which is $401 million, into the state's general fund.
What's interesting, though, is that when you file a financial fiscal year state of emergency, it does not require the governor or lawmakers to identify how much of that money they're going to be transferring over from the Rainy Day Fund. So in another article that came out, they're stating that it's harder to get into home financing. Mortgage credit availability is harder by 12.2% as of last month. Obviously, it's because of the coronavirus and the pandemic. And you look at the forbearance, the reason for this is happening is because people are going right into forbearance after getting into a loan. And then the servicer is the one that has to pay that, whoever gave you the loan. And so the liquidity in banks is actually decreasing. A lot of people are now looking at harder restrictions to get into a loan. And can you get a loan at 620 credit score? Yeah, you just won't get it as the leniency you had before. You know, you have to look at, do you have extra money in the bank, which is called reserves? Are you providing all the down payment for yourself and the closing costs? You can't get anybody to gift you money or help you out. And so you're at your old traditional ways, and it's a little bit more restrictive. But what they're seeing with this data that's coming out is that it is helping, and less people are going on to forbearance after they get and close their loan. You know, a lot of these, to remove all of the restrictions, you know, not having gift funds, not having reserves, not having what's called overlays in some cases per investors. If you have a 680 credit score or higher, that's usually the breaking point where, you know, you can get anything like we had before, which is the same leniency. But if you have a credit score below a 680, then you could still get into a loan. Now, I also want to talk about mortgage applications. Mortgage applications for purchases has gone up a bit, although refinance applications have come down. Now, I want to talk about refi. It's still a great time to refi. Now, a lot of people have elected to do the forbearance, and you know, I would only do the forbearance if I had to, because I know you're like, well, I'm going to save money and I'm banking money and I'm not having to pay my mortgage. I'm just going to collect even if I have unemployment. Well, it's still going to the back end of the loan and you're still paying the same interest. And if you decided to sell the house, if you own it, then potentially you're still in the same boat. There's no savings there. So the way you make savings or have savings for future, for sustainability, is you refinance your home, potentially lowering your interest rate, and then using FHA Streamline or a VA, which is a veteran Streamline, to get these things done. Also, there is opportunity out there for people to reduce or remove debt if you have equity in your home, and a lot of people are doing that. If you have a credit card payment that's, you know, $400 or $500, and you just use the equity out of your property as a cash out refinance, that would potentially help you in reposition and pivot yourself into a better place for where you're currently at. A lot of people want to save money. They don't want to have debt. You know, they need to hold their money. Maybe use the bank's equity to do that. Also, people are pulling out money to reinvest in other ways, or just to have in case of a rainy day. So there's a lot of refinance opportunities. I think a lot of people think that, oh, well, I'm going to use the forbearance and I'm going to go through that process. And there's really, the reason these harder and higher restrictions are going on is because they don't want people to go on forbearance. They want to make sure that if you have the ability to pay your mortgage or your rent, do so. But if you can't, it's there for a safety net.